Okay, with the rise in family discussions and confusions over me being a supporter of white supremacy by Hugh White Knight, or at least him trying to promote white supremacy on my channel, I thought I would tell you the story of my terrible, awful, no good, very bad family. If you're not familiar with that children's book, it's actually Day instead of Family. I'll be posting it as the thumbnail. It's a cute book. Buy it. Assuming we have any more time left on Earth. But yes, my family, my mother and father specifically, are white supremacist, alt-right Republican Mormons. Ooh. Yes, it's not Halloween, and I'm telling you a spooky, scary tale of horror. And we're not even at camp, at band camp. Yeah, Mormons don't know that joke. They don't watch R-rated movies. Yeah, I tried to do an R-rated movie thing, and nobody was interested in that one. Alright, so my family. I had my DNA tested through 23andMe. They're better. Don't go to Ancestry. They're bad. Bad. Why do I say they're bad? Because they're Mormon run? No, I went to them first. They were cheap because they had their sale. So I wanted to know. I have in my family line, on my mother's father's side, a tale of my third great grandfather raping his underage slave girl on his plantation. And it was so humiliating and disgraceful and distasteful that the family kept it a secret. And that's where I come from. So I wanted to know where my third great grandmother originated. Because my mom had found that one of the branch offs of that family line going back is the Formy Duval line. Formy and Duval, and they created the Formy Duvals. And we were finding that line also had sultans and sheiks. Yes, Arabs. And my mom, of course, being the white supremacist that she is, knowing nothing about Muslims or Islam or Arabs, she was putting in the names in the temple as their first name. Oh, look, his first name is Sultan. No, Mom, that's his title. Remember the Disney movie Aladdin? And so, yes, I've got the theme song for this movie. Yes, those of you who watch my movies know that occasionally I've started to put out theme songs. So I'm sure some of you will guess which theme song I'm selecting right here for you to listen to. Let's make sure the volume is up so that you can hear it. Ooh, I saw metal. If there's a metal version, I want that one. So we will go back and check, but alright, so here we go.
Taco Bell invites you to a world where you'll find burritos.
Their Illuminati commercials were awesome, but now they're getting weird.
For just $1, the new $1 grande burritos from Taco Bell's new.
And they go.
competition in other way on down south London town.
Come on, say it. Say it.
Check out Guitar Joe, doesn't wanna make it right, play his thing. And Harry doesn't mind, he's got a daytime job. He can play the honky-tonk like any Friday night.
We're not saying it.
With the Sultans.
There we go.
With the
Sultans of Swing. Okay, let's find that metal one. I want to know what that metal one was. Metal. Sultans of Swing. Metal cover by Leo Meracaleoli featuring Mary Spender. Okay. We'll give you a try. Frog Leap Studios. Seriously, we gotta watch you go into your studio. Yeah, okay, you're cute, not him. He's got, is it Korean or Chinese on his shirt? Why are you looking at each other? Sing! Alright, needs work, but Sultans of Swing. Oh, here's a metal version. Here we go.
Hey Mary, show me that riff.
Okay.
This isn't metal. There we go. Sounds like the other lady. Alright, well, whatever. So, yes, I have Arabic in my family line, and it's from the Egyptian region, coincidentally. So when I had my Facebook business page, the only ones who liked my page were the Egyptians. And thousands of likes on my business page from Egyptians. And Utahns were saying, what is this doing on my advertising page? But Egyptians, yeah, dude, awesome. Except for one Egyptian lawyer, as he claimed he was, claiming, hey, this is our culture, our heritage, you can't claim to be Egyptian. Because I had Egyptian themes on my thing, because I do translation of Egyptian. However, I also knew that I came from Egyptian sultans, Arabs. And then I later found out, oh, 23andMe. My mom's side of the family, maternal line, from Egypt. And so I was able to tell him, no, I've got sultans and sheiks in my family. I am Arabic. I'm not a fraud trying to usurp the Egyptian culture. And I didn't tell him, but I could have. If anything, you are usurping the Egyptian culture because you were Semitic originally. I am the true Egyptian. And so he wasn't. So yes, when Nelson came out and talked a story about, oh, there's an Egyptian who's translating the Book of Mormon into Egyptian, everybody was freaking out. This is awesome, church is true, wow! No, he was doing it in Arabic. Was not Egyptian. He just was living in Egypt, or had lived in Egypt, and came across the Book of Mormon and thought, it claims to be of ancient origins, I'll see what it's like in Arabic. And so the church found out took it over and redid the translation into Arabic, so that they don't have his version, it's their own approved version. So anyway, but yeah, I can tell you all about how church does their translation work. I knew a guy out in the Bronx who was hired by the church to make a translation in his particular African dialect, and we were supposed to encourage him as missionaries to get a move on the translation, because he was a little behind in his work and sort of milking the church for payments so that he can live. So anyway, so yes, that's my maternal family. We're from Egyptian, according to 23andMe. And I found out my third great-grandmother is from West Africa. Ancestry.com did nothing to help me. So, alright, so, yeah, and the thing is that my third great-grandmother is not on my maternal line. So, how did 23andMe do it? Because I had that marker in my DNA. And they couldn't tell me which line in between the paternal and the maternal was, because that's all they could give me was paternal and maternal. But they said, you have a marker for somebody from West Africa. Ta-da! And so yes, they also said there's trace elements of the Arabs as well. So 23andMe, thumbs up for me, except for the psychiatric part that they were asking. They were asking me questions of a psychiatric nature. No, naughty, naughty, don't go there. You know, I can understand why. Psychiatry is a pseudoscience. It's not a legitimate science, and you're hoping through DNA to help establish psychiatry. Okay, but don't use psychiatry to establish the DNA. That's where the problem will come in. So, yeah, you can't go in reverse. You have to start from scratch, use science to establish psychiatry as a science. You can't take current psychiatry as a pseudoscience to establish it as a science. It will not work. It will fail, Mr. Bond. And so, yeah, my dad's side, we come from the Druids of England, the Gutsul, sun gods. That's what Gutsul is, sun god. Sol is sun, solar, soleil, ben de soleil. I haven't seen that commercial forever. And I bet you YouTube has it. Ben de soleil for the central tan. I've got to see that again. So yes, I'm distracting from the theme of this video. Ben de soleil for the central tan. There it is. Bain de Soleil suntan lotion commercial from the 78 to 79. And there's another one in 83, and another one in 87.
For the deep dark color you want, Ben de Soleil. Ben de Soleil for the central face. Ben de Soleil for the deep dark color you want, and the smooth silky skin to go with it.
That's not dark. Those are still white women. And what's the guy doing?
For people who can choose anything they want, and they choose the best. Ben de Soleil.
So yes, sexually suggestive commercials have been banned. That was probably shown during the cartoon hour of The Simpsons. Although I guess The Simpsons came out in, what was it, 88 or 86? I don't know. Oh man, that's great. And so now we have a president who has spray-on orange tan. Okay. So, yes, the Goodsell, as my dad wants it pronounced now. I don't really care what he says. It can be Goodsell or Gutsell or Godsell. Doesn't matter. Most people make the mistake and leave out an O and say Godsell. Still correct. And again, I do research on Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian, and they don't worry about phonetics. It's not about the phonetics, it's about the picture, the script. Vowels was not an issue. So, yeah, in our day and age, people are paranoid if you don't get the vowels right on their name. So, we've come a long way in the de-evolution of society. And so yeah, Druids of England and little villages, they moved around a little bit, but we are not the German Goodsells. There's a German Goodsell, Gutsell. We are not from them, although we have obviously originated way back when. We're not the Prussian Goodsells either. Goodsells, I've been able to go back before the Prussian Empire started. And so, yeah, we're not Prussian, so we migrated there to England before the Prussian Empire was formed. And so, not German. Although my grandpa, married a Fulmer, which is German, Vollmer. And we, however, came before the formation of Nazi Germany, obviously, because John Solomon Fulmer is my third great-grandfather, the bodyguard of Joseph Smith, because he was in the jail in Carthage overnight before he died the next day. The reason why he wasn't there to save Joseph Smith or protect him was because Joseph Smith ordered him to go get the militia to come and save them. Little did Joseph Smith know that Willard Richards and John Taylor were in on the conspiracy to have them murdered. So they were the backup plan in case the mob failed. And the mob failed because Joseph Smith was given a gun, not my third great-grandfather's single-shot pistol, which Joseph gave to Hiram, and so Hiram and John Taylor wrestled with that one, and Hiram got shot in the tussle between John Taylor and him, whereas Joseph Smith got John Taylor's friend, who didn't realize that there was a plot to kill Joseph, and thought that Joseph was therefore a friend of John Taylor's, and gave Joseph Smith his six-shooter. And so that's the six-shooter that Joseph Smith used when the mob came up single file, because the staircase is too narrow. Single file up the stairs, Joseph Smith was able to shoot 3 times. And 3 times was all he needed. I shot the first guy twice and the second guy right behind him once. And they got brand new suits from the town for their heroic efforts in doing away with the horrible Mormons. And in their trial, they wore their new suits given to them by the town. And so, yeah, that's the story. And I guess I can go over the whole story of the murder of Joseph Smith. and how Brigham Young was a part of it, and how the church is covering it up, as Kimball tried to clean up the blood as best as he could, because they used to say it was Joseph's blood. Nope, Hiram's. And then he covered up the walls so that you can no longer see the bullet holes that Willard Richards had testified were flying all over the room. Total chaos, mass destruction, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. His testimony and John Taylor's testimony contradict each other. Yeah, we can believe you then, guys. Yeah. So, yeah. Big scandal with that assassination, as Brigham Young elevates John Taylor to be the successor over Orson Hyde. Gotta get the names right. Orson Hyde was supposed to be the successor to Brigham Young, because Brigham Young fired the Smith boy, I think it was William Smith, who was in the Traveling 12, and excommunicated him after Joseph died. He finally was able to get rid of him, get him out of there. And then Orson Hyde was the one in line to be the successor, as Heber C. Kimball was in the first presidency. They were childhood best buddies whose Freemason temple were burned down because of the Smith family exposing the plot to destroy America. Yes, I really want to do the church history series videos. It's awesome. But it's tragic in the sense that we're now experiencing that plot in reality, as everybody's in on it, and there's nobody to stop it. So, yeah, okay, so, yeah, and do you know why Orson Hyde got knocked down in order? Wasn't because of his apostasy and then coming back soon thereafter, because Joseph Smith was freed from jail. It had to do with his disagreeing with Brigham Young over the Adam God theory. You know, Mormon apologists try to claim, no, Brigham Young did not believe Adam was Heavenly Father. No. Yes. Orson Hyde is another witness of that, along with Brigham Young's direct statements in conference and in other areas where he's speaking. Some have said that I have not spoken that Adam was Heavenly Father. Well, I tell you I did. Mormons, you can't deny it. Brigham Young created a whole new God. And I think I can explain how, but it involves Egyptian, and it would involve a whole nother video. And we're already 24 minutes into this one, and I barely talked about my family. So yeah, that's why John Taylor became the successor to Brigham Young, not Orson Hyde, who died a year after Brigham Young died anyway. So, all right. Yeah, so my third great grandfather, John Solomon Fulmer, was ordered to go get the militia, and so he said, here, take my gun then. It only had one shot in it, but take my gun. I'll be back as soon as I can. And unfortunately, there was another militia called in because the governor ordered the Warsaw Lodge. Why don't we just make this about the murder then? So yeah, the governor had found out that the Warsaw Lodge was going to murder Joseph Smith and ordered them, no, don't you dare. And so he sent out a militia to stop the Warsaw group that decided we're going to do it. And so they are the ones who went there and painted their faces black, And the leader of their group said, okay, put your guns down, because they're like long muskets. They don't fit. They're the length of the hallway at the door. And you have to get to the top of the door in order to do it. So this whole nonsense about them sticking their guns in, waving it around to try to... No, nonsense. The testimony of Willard Richards and John Taylor were lies. So, yeah, they go up unarmed. They're a group of men. They can handle it. It's only the two, Joseph and Hiram, that they need to get. They're not interested in John Taylor or Willard Richards. They didn't care. They were in on it as the backup plan in case something happened, like John Solomon Fulmer getting the militia back in time. And he didn't. So they go up the stairs, they get shot, they panic. They don't have a weapon. So they don't keep going. You know, they got to take the injured out, and they run back out. And they're like, you said he didn't have guns. What are we... Ah! And so, yeah, that's when he turns, hears the gunshot of John Taylor shooting Hiram Smith, and Hiram Smith is now on the floor and shot up here through the neck thing. And of course the apologists say, oh, it's because they were shooting through the door and it shot him after he fell down getting hit in the face there. No, this shot here in his face was when he was already on the floor. That's why the blood stain on the floor is Hiram's. And so yeah, they shot him after he'd been shot. And then so Joseph sees that John Taylor had betrayed him, and Willard Richards was hiding in the corner area here. And so yes, the 3 other shots that he had in his pistol, boom, 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 at John Taylor. Thus the hitting in the watch. They say, no, it couldn't have been from the musket shooting. Of course not. The musket shot would have been a bigger hole. The pistol shot, however, perfect match. Joseph shot at him and would have killed him had it not been for his pocket watch. So that's what happened there. And John Taylor cowered under the bed because, whoops. Go away, little girl. Go away, little girl. That's a nice song. I need to remember that one. Let's bring that one up. Go away, little girl. And it's interesting how back in the 50s, early 60s, they were singing about 16-year-old girls. And then Somebody's Baby Guy, he does, she's just 16 years old, leave her alone. And it's interesting how people cling to those songs and they want to reenact them. How disturbing that is, that people can't say, hey, no, we shouldn't be doing this. Okay, go away, little girl. Donny Osmond, no, hell no. We ain't doing his version. Steve Lawrence. Alright. Okay. Alright. So, 211.
You could take the treatment of your ulcerative colitis in a different direction.
Yes,
Talk
you
to
could
your doctor
die.
about Celjab.
Go away, little girl. Go away, little girl. I'm not supposed to be alone with you. I know that your lips are sweet, but our lips must never meet.
So
I
disturbing.
belong to someone else, and I must be true. Oh, go away, little girl. Go away, little girl.
An American classic. And now we have a president who is more interested in sexual relations with his own daughter than with his wife. If you don't know about that story, okay. Where was I? Yes, the mixture of my family with the murder of Joseph Smith. Okay, so yeah, Joseph got the best of the mob, chased them back out. So they were a little taken back and they had to attend to the wounded, obviously. And so then Joseph shoots John Taylor. John Taylor cowers under the bed and he goes to his brother. And, oh, my brother, you know, that thing. And then, of course, then the coward Willard Richards comes from behind with the gun that he had secretly obtained while claiming that he needed a bottle of whiskey. And he then shoots Joseph Smith in the back, and then shoots Hiram Smith in the face, and then does some other shooting with the muskets and the other guys from the mob later on to dress up the scene to make it look according to somebody's testimony. But then so that's how Joseph Smith got flung out the window. Willard Richards threw him out the window, lugged him out the window like a sack of potatoes. Idaho potatoes, the best. You got to get their postcard. Biggest potato, it's on the back of a semi truck. Great potatoes. Washington potatoes, no. Why are Idaho potatoes the best? Because it's on a meteor crater, or volcanic crater, I guess it is. Volcanic crater. So yes, you've got that volcanic soil. Rich soil. Good stuff. Alright, so yes, that's where my dad's parents are from, Rexburg, Idaho. He had a farm up there in Idaho, and he built his house. It had the newfangled technology of push-button light switches and a vacuum that you plug into the wall. And yeah, he had a master light switch in his bedroom where he could turn on and off the lights anywhere in the house. So if the kids or me, when I stayed while I was going to Rick's, were up in the middle of the night, he would know. And so yeah, his house was a part of the Teton Dam flood that occurred way back in the 80s. I was in Placentia at the time, and I remember first thing in the morning, my dad getting the call and saying that he needs to go up to Idaho to help clean up the mess. And my grandparents knew about it because they were on vacation up in Canada in their mobile home, and they were on a vacation tour and saw it on the news. And how they saw it on the news was they saw their house with floodwaters and then another house in the background floating by their own home. So they knew they had to go home. So yeah, that's how good of a carpenter my grandpa was. My dad tried it, not as good, but he had to show off his work to my grandpa, which was my bedroom in Corona. And so, yeah, so carpenters. My father was a carpenter, and so my grandpa was a carpenter. Yeah, so many clues, so little time. So, I got that song in my head now. Go away, little girl. And also, you got to throw in The Police with Sting. Don't stand so close to me. And people wonder why there were so many sexual perverts during the time of these songs. Okay. Oh, man. All right. Breathe. Okay, so yeah, my mom's side, my third great grandfather, plantation owner, as I told you, slave owner in North Carolina. And that side of the family had plantations from North Carolina down to Florida and into the Caribbean. And so Pirates of the Caribbean, awesome, for that purpose alone of reminding me of my family heritage, of white supremacy and Mormon alt-right republicanism. No, I'm not. That's the funny thing, is that because of the abuse of my parents, I did not want to follow their bad examples. And so I didn't become a racist. I saw the abuse of blacks as I grew up. I disapproved. I didn't like it. You know, in junior high, at Auburndale Junior High, Auburndale, we were in PE and physical education in our class, and we were just allowed to do whatever we wanted. And the group of us guys decided, hey, let's play touch football. No, we don't want to play touch, we want to play tackle. And so people were joking, hey, why don't we switch to tackle? Yeah, we can do it, come on, let's do it, come on guys, come on, come on. And nobody really made an official claim to it. They were just all talking about it, trying to urge people to do it. And so the ball snaps, I get the football, I run in for a touchdown, and Stan Lowry comes from behind, touches me. Touches. But he touches me on the shoulders. Because he touches me on the shoulders, I stub my foot as I take a step, another step. And my right leg, in the inside of the bone, I can't remember which of the bones it is, because there's two of them in there. I was in the inside, cracked. And then long crack up the bone. And so I was disabled, lying there on the ground in pain. Oh man, oh, I can't get up. And all the guys were going, oh man, oh. And they ran and got the teacher, and they got me into the nurse's office. I was there in the nurse's office, and the nurse, or no, it was a secretary, Mrs. Childs, who happened to be the wife of Mr. Childs, who had their son, who was over in Corona, going to school there. He was Mormon, so I knew the Childses. And I also became a student aide, I guess it was, for a class. Again, I don't want to work hard in memorizing things. I'm not going to take AP classes if they make me work harder in memorizing things. That's stupid. So yeah, I took student aid. And so yeah, I got to see Stan Lowry's file. Big, huge, thick, honkin' file. He keeps getting in trouble. He's black in a dominantly white school, hick school, because Norco is country town. They used to have horses, and the horses used to come riding into school, and they'd loop their horses up to the stall as they attended classes. And Swigheimer was telling us all about this. He knew all about that, and he would talk about the biker gangs that would come in and cause havoc at the school. And so That was, they didn't like the new subdivisions being built in Norco. They wanted traditional country living, no outsiders. That's how white supremacist they were. And didn't stop it. Town needed to grow and get more money, more revenue. And so, Stan Lowry was one of the rare blacks. And I didn't realize it. I just thought, oh, okay, he gets in trouble a lot. He must be a troublemaker, because why would they lie? And so, I'm just a kid. And turns out that experience, I saw exactly what was going on. And Sister Childs, she's Mormon, Sister Mormon. She comes in and tells me, we took care of Stan. He's been not excommunicated. What is it when you get kicked out of school? Expelled. He's been expelled from school for a couple of weeks. And I said, well, he didn't do anything. He touched me on the shoulders and I tripped. It's okay. We're taking care of the matter. No, he didn't do anything. It's okay. We've got it handled. I couldn't convince them that he didn't do anything to me. They already had their minds set up. And it didn't help that the other boys were saying, oh, we were switching to tackle, and Stan Lowry then tackled him. No, he didn't. He touched me on my shoulders, and I tripped. That was it. I felt dumb for having tripped over just a touch. But they didn't care. And they insisted that Stan Lowry be punished because he's a troublemaker. He has a history of trouble. So I came home one day. I'm in my cast and crutches and coming home. And oh man, hope I can make it through without crying here. Mr. Lowry had a suburban home in and amongst us white folk who are rich enough to be able to get a new suburban home. And he happened to live just a couple of blocks away from us, right there on the corner as I went home. And he came out and he just begged me, please don't sue me. Please tell your parents not to sue. Oh, man. I didn't know that life was tough for blacks back then. That for him to have a new suburban home meant that he had finally broken out as a result of the civil rights movement. That he was one of the few that were rising up in status and financial prosperity. And so for him to be sued, that was, man. But yeah, my parents weren't that kind of people, fortunately. And so they didn't sue him. Oh man. They were rich enough to pay for the doctor bills on their own. Oh man. But yeah, I couldn't believe how Stan was treated. And yeah, he didn't continue on to high school. So yeah, the Lowrys ended up having to move. Alright, well, yeah. Okay, so we'll call it quits on this video. We're at 45 minutes. I mean, I could tell you about the North Carolina ancestors and how Redbeard the pirate would come into port and loot and pillage the town that they were in, on a yearly basis. But